Discussion on Sexual, Textual Politics by Toril Moi. Summary and Themes. Sexual, Textual Politics by Toril Moi. Summary and Themes. Toril Moi's Sexual, Textual Politics 1985 is a critical examination of feminist literary criticism and theory. The book is influential in feminist studies and literary theory, offering a comparative study of Anglo-American and French feminist approaches to literature. Summary. Part 1. Anglo-American Feminist Criticism. Focus on women's experience in literature. Anglo-American feminist critics analyze how women are represented in literature, emphasizing realistic portrayals of women's lives and experiences. They often focus on uncovering the marginalization or stereotyping of women in male-authored texts. Key critics and concepts. Moi discusses prominent critics like Elaine Sholter, who introduced gynocriticism, studying women writers and their work. Gynocriticism focuses on women's writing styles, experiences, and the historical challenges female writers face. Strengths and limitations. Strength. The Anglo-American approach is clear and practical, rooted in historical and cultural contexts. Limitation. It sometimes relies on essentialist ideas, assuming all women share a universal experience. Part 2. French Feminist Theory. The Role of Language and Psychoanalysis. French feminists like Hélène Cixous, Luce Irigaray, and Julia Kristeva use psychoanalysis and poststructuralism to understand how gender operates in language. They challenge the traditional structures of language, arguing that it reflects patriarchal power. Écriture féminine, women's writing. French feminists advocate for a new, experimental writing style, écriture féminine, that disrupts conventional male-dominated narrative forms. This style celebrates fluidity, subjectivity, and bodily expressions, aiming to liberate women's voices. Cixous encourages women to write from their bodies, rejecting traditional forms of expression. Irigaray focuses on the feminine as other, and critiques male-centric language. Kristeva examines the connection between language, the unconscious, and gender, proposing the idea of the semiotic, pre-linguistic expressions linked to the body. Part 3. Comparing the two traditions. Practicality versus theory. Anglo-American criticism is more pragmatic, focusing on real-world issues and the representation of women in existing literature. French feminist theory is more abstract, emphasizing philosophy, psychoanalysis, and the transformative power of language. Individual experience versus universal theory. Anglo-American critics value personal and cultural differences in women's experiences. French theorists focus on universal structures of language and psychology, often neglecting cultural specificity. Intersections and conflicts. Moi highlights how these approaches can complement each other but also criticizes both for their limitations. She calls for a more nuanced feminist critique that combines the strengths of both traditions. Key themes: gender and representation. How women are represented in literature is a central concern. Both traditions seek to challenge patriarchal narratives but approach the issue differently. Language as power. French feminists emphasize how language shapes and perpetuates power dynamics, particularly male dominance. The politics of writing. Writing is seen as a political act, with feminist critics advocating for forms of writing that resist patriarchal structures. Critique of essentialism. Moi critiques the essentialism in both traditions, urging feminists to avoid assuming that all women share the same experiences or perspectives. Conclusion. Moi's contributions. Call for integration. Moi suggests integrating the practical focus of Anglo-American criticism with the theoretical insights of French feminism to create a more comprehensive feminist critique. Focus on politics. Feminist literary criticism, she argues, should always remain politically engaged, challenging gender inequalities in both literature and society. Relevance of theory. Moi emphasizes the importance of theory but warns against making it inaccessible or detached from real-world concerns. In summary, Textual Politics is a foundational text that critically evaluates feminist literary criticism. It encourages a balanced approach, advocating for theory to remain politically relevant and grounded in women's lived experiences.